Out of the jungle, into the freezer. This is the Paramina Rift, what that crossbow was named after. Oh, I think I remember this song too. So, Mount Bur Omisace is... I think it's supposed to be like Fantasy Tibet. Thankfully, there's a save point at the start of this place. Let's go. I forgot how nice the music sounded in this place. It's just... There's something about snowy areas in RPGs and having really good music. Like, I like the music in... I knew there'd be wolves here. I like the music in Valak Mountain. I like the music in... Oh, there's going to be a whole bunch of enemies here that are weak to electricity, given this is a, Yeah. How much am I doing to these wolves with the crossbow? This is... Yeah, they're probably going to die before I get a chance to do it, but I thought I saw 600 there, but yeah... Given this is an ice-based area, there are probably going to be a lot of enemies in here that are weak to electricity, because that's the opposite. Oh, that mist looks pretty nice there. The opposite element in this game. Oh, I remember these things. Wild Onion. Yeah, these are probably some of my favorites of the, like, the onion, or the, you know, those kind of monsters. Yeah, wow, Fire is doing pretty solidly overall. Back to what I was saying about, you're just buffing yourself, aren't you? Or curing yourselves. Interesting. Oh yeah, just using things like Protect and Shell. I guess Fran can go ahead and try and fire them. Kinda wish Fire was located next to Fire on the menu. But again, back to music. So obviously, like, the snow areas in Xenoblade Chronicles, especially Tantal in the second game, have some pretty great music. As do the snow routes in Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. Even though I hate those areas with a passion, they still have great music. And, what other areas in RPGs have, like, snow areas have really good music? There's a few in the Trails series, I think, that have pretty great music too. It's just... There's just something about snow areas and having good music in RPGs in particular. I'll say that I've never been too fond of the snow themes that you tend to hear in platform games, mostly because they just tend to use a lot of the kind of am I having bad crossbow accuracy because of well, I guess I won't find out against you because of the weather. Yeah, they tend to use a lot of, like, the sort of jingle bells. You know, the snow, what is it? The snow, okay, so about the 500s-ish. The snow, themes in platformers, and that's always just been kind of a... It might be a bit of cultural dissonance for me, because being in Australia, in the Southern Hemisphere, we don't associate, it says ice, is there? Nope, no ice physics. We don't associate, winter with Christmas over here. So, again, a bit of cultural dissonance when it comes to, like, those kind of things that have a lot of jingle bells. It just doesn't quite hit home for me, whereas maybe this is why the whole RPG, snow areas music resonate with me a lot more, in that a lot of them tend to sound very kind of adventurous and sort of, often not so much heroic, but kind of like you're in some kind of a wild place that's off the beaten path. Because that's what snow is to me. I don't, like, the place where I live, like, basically in Australia, we do not get snow naturally. And I'm kind of envious of people who live in countries where you do just get snow as just kind of a natural phenomenon around neighborhoods where people live. But on the other hand, they'd probably tell me that it's a lot more hassle than it's worth, because, yeah, you'd probably have to be shoveling snow and all of that kind of stuff, and it does sound like it would be a pain. But I guess it just kind of resonates with me more, because here in Australia, where I live, you really have to, like, you won't find snow.
I can't.
I noticed something may have happened there. Interesting. I'll confirm that for myself when I when I fight another one of those skeletons, which I probably can now. And in fact, in order to try this, I'll wait for the Cura, and then I'll turn everybody's gambits off just to check something, so that I keep getting interrupted. There just happen to be a lot of new things to talk about here. Switch back to Penelo. I'm just confirming this. Because it seems like Drain on Undead hurts you and heals them. Yes, that is exactly how Drain works against Undead. Interesting. It makes perfect sense. It's actually reminding me a little bit of the Liquid Ooze ability in Pokemon now. I'm gonna have to change Penelo's gambits then. What's that? Oh, okay, it's a helmet. Now that's interesting, because I think it's worse than what Barsh currently has. It's better in terms of magic resist, just slightly worse in terms of strength. But Penelo's actually needed a new helmet for a while, because her magic resist is really sucking right now. I was about to say 40 magic power isn't as bad as it used to be, but then we look at Ash's 61. Because Black Mage in this game is apparently ridiculous. Not actually sure which direction that I should be going in here. But I feel like down is going to lead to that Feywood exit, which is why the Elder Worm is optional. Because you can cut through there and get to the Paramina Rift. Blinding Smoke! Well, thank you, Larsa. Yeah, Penelo at this point is basically just using that crossbow. Kind of wanted to play as her here, partly for, because I haven't really played as Penelo much, and also partly because, Jujitsu Gi. That's a light armor, if I'm remembering right. Which I don't even have the license for, I don't think, like, on anyone. You'd think it would give, like, a bonus to punching or something, but it doesn't seem like it. Slaven Warder. Okay, Fran is no longer Librid, so let's put that back up. Doesn't really seem like these things are that tough, despite having red names. But I think if we keep going down here, we might actually get that Feywood entrance. There's a level up on Barsh, which is pretty good, and that means I should probably swap him out for Varn and have him take the physical spot here. I was about to say, gotta remember that I'm playing healer, and then I realized that I have Larsa here, who can quite easily just, cure up people. Baratine Croc. Okay, just makes me think like it's like a baritone croc with a very deep voice or something. So usually when crocs talk in cartoon media, they're usually given very deep, exaggerated Australian accents. That and dingoes. Then you have Dingodile, who's both. I still love Dingodile. It seems like a lot of people do, given that he became playable in Crash 4. And he was kind of fun in that game. A lot of the alternative playable characters were pretty fun in that game. I kind of wish they got full levels rather than half levels, but that's totally not here nor there. Playing a completely different game, but still one that was kind of part of my... It still feels kind of weird to refer to this as, like, my childhood. Hey, Yeti! White furred behemoth type thing. Speaking of my childhood, yeah, Yetis in a snow area just makes me think of Ratchet and Clank. What was it? Another game from my childhood and teenage years. Planet Grelbin. Oh, right, that's definitely the Feywood entrance. But yeah, they had just Yetis that were spawning everywhere, and that was not a... Oh, wow, it really is quite a short path. I see why people do that skip. I actually watched a speed run of this game a while back, but I've intentionally avoided watching it because it might spoil some things that I don't quite remember. But yeah, that's a very short path. So I can definitely see why people cut through there. I still really like the music here. It has this, it's like almost, I wouldn't say mournful, but it just has this kind of powerful feeling of just going through this big, deep glacier and trekking towards your destination. I don't know whether I fully finished my thought from earlier about music, but it does kind of, like, the snow areas in RPGs, I feel, resonate with me a little bit more. Simply, like, due to the fact that, again, in Australia, you actually have to go off the beaten path to find snow. You usually only see snow when you're going on holidays to, like, the you know, Snowy Mountains. We have a region called the Snowy Mountains that's basically exactly what it says on the tin. Well, I went there once, like, I've only seen snow, like, twice in my life, I think. That's not question marks, but it is going kind of in the direction of the Feywood. So we're, kind of in a lower area, and there's like an exit up here. Silverflow's End. I like these kind of Purple Prose area names sometimes. But yeah, both times I saw snow, I was quite young, both of those times. No, I wouldn't have been pre-10, because one of them was like year 6, which would be like the equivalent of elementary school. Okay, Fire does not do a ton to these things. The few enemies that doesn't take like a ton of damage from fire. But yeah, it was quite early. It was like late, what the equivalent of elementary school would be. We call it primary school over here, and then high school is secondary school. And over here, kind of weird to be going on school tangents in a series that is not Persona, but over here, we don't typically separate, junior high and senior high. It's typically the whole thing is just high school. So, like, we refer to, like, it goes, like, year 7 and then up to year 12. But different states in Australia have different school, systems. And I think, like, one of the states even changed recently as of recording this, so... yeah, there's a lot of complicated school stuff. Okay, gonna take... not really sure if 15 gil is worth risking these traps for. These others are probably not going to be that great, but we have got some alright armor in some of these, so might as well try for this. And slowly, come on, Larsa, don't hit the trap. More gil. Oh wow, Fran almost stepped in that. And this is one of those like disconnected areas. I don't remember the Paramina Rift being all that that big. Another snow area with good music that's not an RPG is Metroid Prime. I wonder if one day I might play Metroid Prime on the channel. I'm kind of curious whether a low percent run of like Metroid Prime would be viable or like would be fun looking. Cause yeah, Metroid Prime. Because I've played Metroid Fusion low percent, and I actually find that a really fun run. I've talked about that in update videos before as something I might consider someday, maybe. Like, it's a short game, but each part would take a long time to record, and there'd be a lot of fail channel. I don't know if I would use if I played it on Wii Death. That's kind of cool, but on the other hand, this is not FF13, where death is actually good. I'll get to that later. I'll finish my earlier topic about Metroid Fusion. But yeah, I do find Metroid Fusion very, very fun as a, maybe I can just try and gravity these two. Actually, let's try stop. And it failed utterly. I don't think its chances of working are pretty high against most enemies, but I want to see if stop like actually freezes all damage dealt, or if it just freezes the enemy in place. Because sometimes stop does weird things in these games. One tactic involving stop is to actually cast like reverse on somebody and then cast stop on them, so that it freezes the reverse timer, and you basically have this immobile, invincible tank. Because damage heals them while reverse is active, and the reverse timer it does not count down while they're stopped, because stop freezes all buff and debuff timers. So yeah, you basically put this wall. I'll just queue it now. I think you basically put this big wall in front of everyone, and then have the others wail on the enemy while you've got that decoyed stopped reversed character taking all of the hits. There's some kind of interesting things you can do with this, but anyway, back to Metroid Fusion. That was quite fun. Then I played Metroid Zero Mission in a low percent run, and that was not fun. Not fun at all. Because in that game, since the charge beam isn't necessary to finish the game, you can't get the charge beam, so your only form of decent damage dealing is missiles, and you only have 5 missiles. Yeah, most boss fights boil down to shoot 5 missiles at them, grind their attacks for more missiles, repeat. It's not fun, whereas like Infusion boss fights in a low percent run are really fast paced and really, time to do this. Not that I can... Oh, the trap disappeared because... Oh, it was a healing trap anyway. Because I took out my Libra character. You're 25, you're... Well, I guess I can put in the other characters who are no longer level... who are not currently level 25. But yeah, the fights are very, like, fast-paced, because you die very quickly, but you also have a lot of good ways of dealing damage, like the charge beam. All of the beam expansions are required in that game, so your damage keeps up through the game, and you have missiles that... You don't have a lot of missiles, but they work quite well. So that's a fun game to low percent run, and I'll have to try out the Metroid Prime games to see if a low percent run of them would be fun, because I really don't want there to be another... Okay. I think the only person here who could conceivably use magic, like, would be, if I turn off Pinello's gambits, would be Larsa, because, like, Pinello's just crossbowing everything right now. But yeah, there's an ice elemental over there. Don't like having to turn off Larsa's gambits, but I'm gonna have to, just in case he tries to use any magic. Oh, and they're slow. Don't really have haste right now, so, the only way I can cure that is with the Chronos tier. Not really sure I want to go through those. And slowed Pinello with a crossbow basically takes about as much time to charge attacks as a normal character, because, as I said before, crossbows are fastest range weapon. Yeah, it's always like a thing where sometimes if you're doing a challenge run, you have to sort of test first to see if it's actually going to be enjoyable. Which is why when I recorded my Pokemon, like, Alpha Sapphire challenge run, which was, that was an interesting series, because that was the last series I did before, Fire Emblem Awakening, which was what, actually got me a somewhat, a actually pretty decent number of views at the time. I wouldn't say I ever really, like, quote-unquote made it big, but, like, Awakening was, like, the first series that got a decent amount of attention, and so because of that, Larsa can't cure this blindness without casting magic, so that's going to be annoying. So yeah, Alpha Sapphire was still, like, back in the time when I was getting, like 50 views if I was lucky, and, often, most of the comments were, like, just, there was only, like, 1 or 2 people who were actually commenting at the time. So that was a weird series for me. It was a bit of like an interim thing, but I tested the rules for that kind of challenge. Oh, hey, I got a Chronos tier, I may as well use that to cure. I tested the rules for that challenge in Pokemon Platinum, actually. And I did find they worked decently well, so I went to that. And I had it, like, a few days ago I was having a vague idea of, like, you know what, maybe I should do, like, a Pokemon, Sword or Shield, or, what was it, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, like, Wedlock, maybe? I don't know if I'd really be doing those for the right reasons. The main reason I'd be thinking is to sort of, quote-unquote, carry on Mariland's legacy, since he's left and never got a chance to do a challenge in either of those games. Because I've actually recently changed my, oh, okay, this is a... I don't know why why I did that, but, okay, this area kind of twists around on itself a lot. I forget if it's like... I thought we had to head, like, to the east, but no, this would go either north or south. Is that a Nemu? I think it might actually be. Because they're also a race from Final Fantasy Tactics, but they don't really show up that often in 12, I find. Oh, okay, so this is the wrong way, but that's nice. I kind of like to go the wrong way first. Where you go in Ivalice, there is only war. Oh wait, no, this isn't Warhammer 40k. Yeah, Mount Bur-Omiske definitely, Bur-Omises seems to be a bit of a neutral zone. Just kind of discussing a few things while we trek through the snow here. But yeah, I have changed some of my feelings. I used to hate the concept of Nuzlocke, just inject... Oh, I thought that was like an Avis. I think these look kind of like Avises do, but... That's a really interesting looking enemy. Twintamia, it's like some kind of a bug dragon thing. Partly for like going against Satoshi Tajiri's vision for the series and him wanting kids to treat death more seriously rather than just consider death synonymous with losing in a game, which is basically what Nuzlocke do. On that note, I hate what the Pokemon fandom did to Lavender Town. I really hate it. Because Lavender Town is supposed to be like an example. It is supposed to be teaching kids to take. I have a Gambit on Varn to do Libra whenever it's off, but it's supposed to be teaching kids to treat death more seriously, and instead people are just like, oh, Lavender Town is so creepy and so cool, and it scared me as a kid, so it's, yeah, I hate it. I've probably said this before, that is a lot of those things, and do I have, like, I have a lot of dark modes, I think. Yeah, I have a ton of these. These things are actually considered in the bestiary the same enemy as the one we fought as a boss at the start of the Tomb of Wraithwall. Uh-oh, that's not good. That's really bad. Kamikaze, can we kill that thing before it does it? So C, can we kill that before it does it? Quickening, maybe? Nope, it already kamikazed. Larsa, are you gonna cure blind, please? Or are you prioritizing attacking flying enemies because of, your I don't think so. I think he's just more on, like, attacking gambits. So, Larsa could not attack flying enemies in the original game. That's an improvement to Zodiac Age. Though Vossler, they did not change Vossler so he could damage flying enemies. So, that was unfortunate. But Larsa can in this one. Revive is a technique. I felt like we already had that, but maybe we didn't. Just kind of want to explore down here. Sorry for just going on tangents all the time, but those things, yeah, are actually considered the same enemy as the one we fought in Wraithwall's tomb. That's why it didn't appear in the boss section. I don't know if there are any snow elementals down here. I guess we'll find out. But that's just one of those things. I thought that was something worse. Emperor. Oh, yeah, it is an Avis. Okay. And I guess I can try and dispel that. Yeah, what I was saying is I have actually changed my thoughts on death in Nuzlocke. Like, the other reason I hated it was because I tended to, whenever I attempted Nuzlocke, I would get horrendously unlucky and just lose Pokemon due to a combination of just multiple crits in a row, or activating Poison Point and then multiple crits in a row. Just crazy bad luck like that. But, yep, there is a snow elemental here. But ever since I actually got into Dungeons & Dragons live streams like Critical Role, I've started to think about it less as like a challenge and more as a story, and like viewing it like a D&D campaign. Where, you know, you see characters rise and fall, you see, you know, random dice rolls that lead to great story opportunities. You know, like that random barrage of critical hits could be just someone tragically sacrificing themselves so their allies might live. And it has led me to think, you know, maybe I actually should do like a proper Wedlock one day, I don't know, but that's just a random thing, just on my tangent of a tangent of a tangent. Speaking of which, I guess I could get back to, like, that earlier area with, like, that area in Ratchet and Clank with the Yetis on planet Grelvin that are constantly respawning. That was such a pain. In fact, like, I heard that even the developers at Insomniac Games did not like the Yeti enemies. Oh, this is where the Still Shrine of Miriam is. That's interesting. I forgot it was down here. I actually thought that it was in the town. So, spoiler alert, we actually have to go here later, and we actually have to go here relatively soon, but I didn't realize it was in the rift. I thought it was actually, again, like part of Mount Bur Omises. And I've forgotten how to pronounce that because this is another recording session, and I've forgotten, you know, when the characters were saying it in story dialogue. Now, I'm really hoping there's a gate crystal here, because that means that coming down here would actually have a purpose and save me some backtracking time later. Pretty sure I already had a battle harness. Please be a gate crystal. Yes! Okay, I don't have to trek back down here again later. That's good to know. Oh, an ice shield. That's helpful. Can Barsh use that, right? Yeah, he can. Half damage ice. Oh yeah, I already had one of those. I could actually give both him and Balthier ice shields if I wanted to, but I'd need to give Balthier a sword. Anyway, I'll save it this. I doubt we can actually get in here now. Okay, there's actually people here. It's not a totally abandoned ruin. Okay. Who is his father they're talking about? Yeah, we have to seek audience with His Grace before we can go in here. Makes sense. This is another place that looks a lot brighter than I remember it. I remember this place being, like, really dark. Another, probably, memory of me playing this on a really dark TV. Okay, so I'm guessing we have to head north now. I suppose I'll just see you back at that save crystal. Well, that's a very treacherous area to be, running through without gambits on. Okay, we're decently close to, a new area to the north. Probably have to look up to see if there are any rare game in here that I can feasibly, like, fight at this point. And turn everybody's gambits back on. But I think the reason why I kind of got onto Metroid Prime is, yeah, the Findrama drifts. This place does kind of remind me of that. And that also has great music, but I didn't really remember that it gains its great music until a little bit later. Ratchet and Clank, speaking of stuff that were part of my childhood and stuff that I have been talking about here, that is something else that, like, one day I might think about doing on the channel. Like, I don't know, I was thinking of doing challenge runs at one point for that, and then I was just like, you know what? These days, you don't actually have a lot of, like, vanilla playthroughs of Ratchet and Clank. Like, it could be another thing like this, like something that a game that was important to my childhood or teenage years that I would like to play through for you and just explain my history with it and the kind of things that I remember from that game. I think we're getting close.
Empires parade down city streets while refugees walk barefoot through the snow.
And so I sue for peace, to stop short war and ease their suffering. My father will choose peace.
Will he now? You sound sure of yourself. You can never know another, even your father.
Don't take it the wrong way, Kay?
Larsa's another character that you could even argue is a candidate for this game's protagonist.
This crisis would not end were I gone. The Senate hates the very fact that House Solidor exists. By necessity, we must find reason to silence them.
Necessity? Ah, yes, necessity. Does that word free you, I wonder? You show no hesitation to solve matters with blood.
The sword of House Solidor cannot be left to rust in doubt. It was you, Excellency, who tempered that sword.
Is this your idea of vengeance?
It is my idea of necessity. If we do not act now, it is not only our future you imperil.
So, you would dirty your hands to keep his clean.
My hands are stained with blood. I see little reason to stay them now.
So they are. And so House Solidor lives on.
Was that a flashback, or was that happening now? It could actually be either, really. But wow, that line right there, that necessity, does that word free you so? Holy crap, the Flame Emperor in Fire Emblem Three Houses needs to hear that line. I almost feel like there's no better line to sum them up in a way. There's, like in general, it just, I really do like this game's, like, translation and its localization writing in particular. I think the writing is definitely a strength of this game. And it is, like, interesting because Alexander O. Smith definitely has a few, I wouldn't say controversies, but he also was the one who localized the first Ace Attorney game, which definitely had its issues. That was the origin of, you know, eat your hamburgers, Apollo, kind of, because Apollo didn't exist back then, but you get the idea. This seems like a good idea at the time, thing of localizing the setting. I mean, it made sense for the first game because there wasn't any very explicitly Japanese elements in it, but, you know, then later games would introduce more and more, and then it would just get kind of confusing to the point where these days it's just sort of a running gag about the Japanifornia thing. Like, I still feel like in my headcanon the Ace Attorney universe is set in a similar universe to Big Hero 6, where America became this kind of fusion of American and Japanese culture. Because even the Japanese Ace Attorney releases have some American influences, so I can kind of see that. So he's responsible for, well, partially, it's probably obviously not just him, but he also, he was also working on the localization of Fire Emblem 7, and like some people have pointed out when I was just praising Alexander O. Smith in my intro video to this series, and they were saying, what about FE7? Like, I wouldn't exactly consider FE7 that great of a translation, and yeah, FE7 did botch quite a bit. It mistranslated a lot of very significant lines, there's tons of, like, little mistakes in that translation that ruin a few of the more subtler parts of the story or character motivations, and a few things that are just flat out wrong, like calling Forblaze Flame Breath. But overall, I will say, Alexander O. Smith and his team did a really good job on this game. Oh, another CG cutscene? Yeah, I keep forgetting I am playing a Final Fantasy game. They're pretty big budget when it comes to JRPGs. Just so used to playing smaller ones. Like, even Persona 4, it's big now. People did not think that was big back in the day. Like, it had a tiny budget. So, here we are in Mount Bur Omises. Again, I could be wrong about how to pronounce that. I am very much hoping that somebody here sells Thundara. New accessories, though. Bowline sash, ring of big sword, red-haired cloud from Trails in the Sky, half-damage wind is kind of nice. Nullifies weather and terrain effects on elemental damage. Oh, elemental damage, not like, you know, crossbow accuracy. That's kind of a problem. But still, like, yeah, I think some elements do get higher or lower power in snowy terrain. And yeah, we can buy these now, and Rose Corsage. I have quite a lot of gil as well, and this is even before selling my loot. Oh, okay. Yeah, Kuraga's single target. Blizzara. Berserk. Darkra. Okay, just as Dark was starting to become kind of weaker. Finally, we can get this. This is kind of a convenience thing for Gambits, because now you don't have to set separate spells for separate status ailments. Not that we really need this now that we have that, but I guess we can get it for completeness. And then Break. Most significant things are immune to it, but I want to take that because that's good against the Gill Snapper, which I might actually be fighting kind of soon, even though I'm not really ready for it yet. I wanted to try and buy the Monograph, but just so much, and then Bleed is, I believe that's just Sap. Still not great, but I'll take that. Soul Eat, meh. I should probably get Poach at some point. Immune Confuse. I would kind of like that. That'd be actually pretty decent for Ash. But nullifies the effects. Does that nullify both the positive and negative effects of weather? Because weather can boost some elements too. Well, we did recoup a lot of our money that way. Anything good from that? Eye drop sets. Wooden pole, smelling salts, etc. Yeah, there's not a lot of decent stuff, but you know what? I may as well finally get the Forgotten Grimoire. Hunter's Monograph. That causes beast-type enemies to drop additional items, so that might end up paying for itself to an extent. And now we probably have, I feel bad for the Chocobos being forced to go through the snow here, but anyway. Traveling Merchant. Oh wow, some pretty good pieces of equipment here. Thorned Mace. I already got a Glacial Staff, and then here are... Oh, that's actually not a bad idea for Barsh right now, since we're fighting a lot of ice-based enemies. If I equip that, though, he won't be able to use the Ice Shield. So it's either defense against ice or offense against ice that I'm thinking of. And then stuff that we've kind of already had before. Headband, Jujitsu Gi, Lami's half damage. Ice, that's also useful here. There's actually quite a few things we can buy here that aren't, yeah, actually, we don't have the licenses for yet, is what I was trying to say. Of course, whenever anyone says we need not fear a thing, then, yeah, or, you know, there is no war in Ba Sing Se, which is an episode I still haven't got to yet, but, anytime people say that, you know that that their peaceful days can't last for very long. So I think I'm gonna call things here. And next time is gonna be a little bit weird, because I do know for a fact that once we start heading further into this town... Okay, nice comment there, Van. Once we head further into this town, Larsa will leave us. A lot of people like to go back and do a whole bunch of hunts while Larsa is still with you, because he makes them a lot easier. And that's what I think I'll be doing. So next time, there's gonna be quite a few side quest parts. I'm gonna try and take on as many hunt monsters as I can at this point. So see you then for all of that.